Hello, today we are going to work with Adobe Premiere Pro to create the slideshow project. And it's a fairly simple project, so we'll just have a couple of extra things we'll be adding basically I had a tutorial where we did some things that were fairly basic, fairly rudimentary. We'll add to those things today as we work with Adobe Premiere Pro. Again, the project is a slideshow project. It's going to incorporate, you're going to incorporate your title that you created in After Effects, so that won't be a complete waste of time. Then you're going to incorporate a series of photographs that have a central meaning, like, for example, a trip you took, your favorite pet, a family vacation or holidays or your friends or some rock bands anyway, some things with a central theme. This should be your pictures, but if you have trouble with getting some of your own photographs, then what you should do is you can go online and download high quality resolution pictures, which means that they should be high pixel numbers. Anything that's lower than 640 or 480 pixels should not be included in this project. Ideally, you want to find pictures that are 1920 by 1080 in resolution. So you can type that in, or when you hover over the picture in a Google search, you should be able to see that resolution. But it should be fairly high resolution, at least, 960 and above. But, you should be able to figure that out without me telling you what a high resolution picture is. So we're going to incorporate those photographs. Within those photographs, we're going to add some transitions. So you're going to learn how to add transitions. And then you're also going to use some motion effects. So you're going to be zooming in and zooming out, which, again, we're going to be using keyframes for that, which you already used with After Effects. And guess what? Keyframes are also being used in Adobe Premiere Pro. So you can see some similar functions in some of our, video editing software. And then you will also be incorporating music into the project. So you'll be creating all of that. And at the end, you're going to be rendering it using something called Media Encoder, also from Adobe. And I'll talk about that when we get to that part of the project. Okay, so little steps at a time, and I'm going to try and cut up the videos so they won't be super long videos. So each thing will have its own video. All right, so let's get to it like we did the other day. And again, I showed you this screen, or this screen that has like our intro screen, or our splash screen, if you want to use that term. That's not really the splash screen, but this screen should come up by default. Okay, so what you'll do for this one is you will create a new project. You're going to click on right here, New Project. And you're going to give it a name. So first of all, like I told you last time, you're going to use your name first. Murphy Slideshow Project. It's critical that you use your first name. I mean, not your first name, your own name in these projects. All right, so that I know that it's your project. So please put your name on the projects. Okay, please do that. All right. So the next thing you want to do, just like I showed you last time, browse it so that it saves to your jump drive. Okay, and so yours will say USB. Mine is actually, I have an SD card in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, create a new folder. Remember, I told you last time, folders and organization are very, very important. All right, so let's go ahead and create a new folder. And we're going to call this one Slideshow. Slideshow Project. And I'm going to select this folder. Okay. Let's try this again. Premiere Pro. Slideshow Project, select folder. There we go. So you'll see that there. And this is going to save into this folder. You don't have to worry about your render engine, your time code. If that's something that's important to you, you can change it to time code, which is what's called the SMPTE time code, Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, or any other time code you want to use, or you can go by frames. Obviously, we like going with time code. Everything else we want to make sure is unchanged. Click OK, and it should take a couple of seconds for your project to open up. So you'll see Adobe Premiere Pro open up into its workspace. Okay, so Adobe Premiere Pro has opened up, and we are using the editing workspace. Again, if you want to change any workspaces, you can change it just by clicking these default workspaces up here. But the one that we usually use for these simple projects is this one right here called editing, and it should come up by default. If it doesn't, go ahead and click the editing workspace, which is going to give us a source window, which is where you're kind of editing clips. You're going to see our program window, where you're going to see basically your finished project as you're working on it. You're going to see your libraries in this area right here, and this is where your timeline is going to be. All right, so we've already talked about that. Here's some transport buttons and some other editing things. These ins and out points we won't get into until we start working on our music video, or our commercial actually, but I will spend a little bit of time explaining those today. Now, you're going to see right here, it comes up by default, showing you all these libraries over here, and you can create a new library, but for this project, we're just going to go right here to this window, the project window. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open up basically a window where we can start importing media into. If you want to go to media browser, that's basically going to take you to your if you will, your media tree, your drive tree. So you've got your C drive. Here is our SD card. So again, you can work in that space, but the preferable one is this one right here. So just like we did that last time, once again, I'm going to show you real quick just some buttons or functions on the bottom of this window. Again, this is something that we can change to read only or read write. Here, we just switch the current view to a list view. This is our icon view, which is a default view. This is freeform view, which basically means that things are going to be just as like you want to arrange them. And then here's how to sort things in the window. Okay, so just like we do with Photoshop and so on, we can create new folders. And in Adobe Premiere Pro, they're called bins, or we can create a new item. We don't really know what kind of items we're going to be creating. So in this case, we're going to create a new bin, right? So we're going to click on that one right there. It opens a folder by default, and we're just going to call this pics or images or stills. So we're going to call this one stills. I'm going to just call it still images. Okay, still images, click outside of it, and that saves it in there. So that's a bin or a folder where we're going to import all our pictures. In order to import the pictures from, and they should be on your jump drive right now because you should have saved them onto your jump drives like you're going to save everything. You're going to double click, and now you're inside of the bin, as it shows you right here. And now we can import. So one way of importing is you can go straight up here to File, click File, and click the Import button. Again, that's the long way of doing it. But one nice little shortcut that Adobe Premiere Pro has, you double click inside this window, and it's going to open up your folder. All right, so there's your folder view. And now you can go ahead and import your pictures. So in my case, I'm going to be using some photographs that are in a slideshow that we did this summer. And basically, these are the grad pictures from the class of 2020. So they're usually ordered in a numerical order because that's how they always go into a jump drive. And you're just going to import them. You can select them one at a time and hit open. It's going to import it. You can click and then hold down the control button and just click on selected ones. Hold the control button down. So just select the ones that you like. I'm holding the control button down. Or you can select a whole bunch of them by clicking on the first one, scrolling down, clicking on the last one, hit the Shift button on your keyboard, And now you'll see that they're all selected. It's the same as you're selecting files with, Windows, any kind of Windows program. Now hit open, and all these files are going to import into this bin. It should not take very long at all. And here's all our pictures. So again, they go in, they're going to be in some kind of a numerical order. And if you see right here where it sorts, these are the order that they're imported in. We can sort them by name, which is basically by number, or we can sort them field order, different ways. So there's different ways to sort. That's up to you, but user order, that's the order that you brought them in. Now, you're going to rearrange them in here if you want to, rearrange the order so you can put them in the order that you like just by dragging them and moving them around. And that's kind of a storyboard kind of look. And that's kind of a, handy, easy thing to do. So once you've got them in the order you want, what you want to do is select as many as you want and import them into here. But before we do that, what we want to do is we want to use our title, right? So we're going to want to import our title that we worked on before. And the way to do that is you're going to, again, import. Whoops, that's a new bin. So I'm going to click on this bin and delete it. And I'm going to double click. I don't want to be inside the bin. I think I deleted the bin. So I'm going to have to redo that. That's okay. I'll fix it in a little bit. Double click. And in this case, again, we're going to, I'm going to find the Premiere project that I did, the After Effects project, and that is for me in Documents. So I'm not going to waste a lot of your time searching for them. Okay, so you can see right here I have actually the After Effects project unrendered, and that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and open that, and I'm going to import that file. So you'll be able to import it like that. And if it's the one that I'm thinking it is, then I'm going to drag it into my timeline. But before I do that, let me fix this situation that I messed up. So again, I'm going to create this bin, and I'm going to call this, double click there so I can edit it. I'm going to still call it Still Pictures. Still Pictures. And double click that, double click this. And I'm going to go ahead back into all right, so now we've imported all these pictures into here, and now what we're going to do is we're going to get to work. All right, so here's that title, that project that I worked on. Grab it and drag it right into my timeline. Okay, and I'm going to hit play, and we're going to see what it looks like. So there's the part where it opens up, and it closes down. Okay, so what I'm finding is, as I play it back, it's a little bit long, right? So we want to trim some of the edges on that. So as soon as it ends right there, I'm going to go forward a couple of frames, and this is how I advance frame by frame, by the way. Frame back, frame forward, or play, and pause. All right, where I can just scrub. So I'm just watching for my line to disappear. Let's go back a little bit. And there's always a little bit of lag right there. And that is my out point, all right? So I can click on here, and that would be my mark out. But what I'm going to do in this case, like I showed you before, is use the razor tool. And I'm going to take the razor tool and just cut right here. Now I'm going to use the selection tool, select here, and just hit delete on my keyboard. So I'm going to trim the very end of this. Now I'm going to trim the beginning as well because we want it to be a little bit shorter than that. So right at the point where it starts to appear, again, I'm going to use my razor blade. I'm going to make that cut right here. So you can see now that this is 2 clips, and I can select it and I can hit delete. But you see right there that this hasn't shifted. So I can shift it manually in this direction, or I'm going to Control Z. I'm going to right click right here inside the clip. First select it, right click, and you see right here I'm going to have a ripple delete option. Click on that, and when I hit that, it automatically shifts back by itself. All right, so now we've added our title, and that hasn't gone to waste. Now yours might be an AVI file or whatever. You can use any kind of file that you want and just drag it into there. All right, so now it's time to incorporate my still pictures. And I'm not going to do it in any particular order, but like I said, you can rearrange them if you want. I'm just going to select the first one, hit Shift, select the last one, and drag them all into the timeline. And I'm going to snap it right here. You'll see it snap right to that clip. So now we've imported all our pictures to the timeline. Again, there's a little bit of lag, but it'll be okay. Just a reminder once again, this is what our header looks like. All right. These are all video, and these are all audio underneath. If you want to expand them, double click, and that makes them bigger. It's not really useful right now. Double click, and we'll go back to our previous view. Okay, so now we're seeing a couple of things with our pictures. Number one, we might have pictures that are of small pixel size that are not pictures that are too big. So here's how we fix this. We're going to go in here, and we're going to click on that. My computer's behaving poorly. It's doing an auto save right now, so that's good, I suppose. Okay. All right. Click inside the picture. Now right click. And we're going to go right here where it says scale to frame size. Scale to frame size. All right. We're going to hit that, and our picture, well, our timeline should be right here, and it should be scaled to the frame size. But for some reason, all right, so you can see that we scaled it to frame size. All right, and so we're good. All right, let's try one more time so you can actually see it happening. Hopefully our lag will go away. Doesn't look like it wants to do that. And we'll see if we find another picture that's not lagging. Okay, that picture seems to fit the frame size fine. Okay, so here's a good example. So again, you're going to click the picture. You're going to right click. You're going to scale to frame size. And it's going to scale it to the size of the frame. Now, this picture, when it was taken originally, was not, the same size as this screen. That's okay. You don't want to stretch the picture so that the picture is distorted. I would rather have black boxes here, right? Black edges, letterboxing, than a picture that's stretched out, that's distorted. Okay, you don't want that. So ideally, what you want to do right now is you want to go ahead and take a look at all these pictures to make sure that they're properly scaled. All right, here's one that definitely needs to be fixed. So again, scale to frame size. And you can actually select them all at once, but it might mess up some of the pictures. So you really should do it one at a time. It's a little bit of work, but Rome was not built in a day. And okay, so here's an example of a picture that we scaled it to the frame size and it actually got smaller. So let's see if there's something we can do here. Unscale it. And let's see if we can go to set to frame size. That did the same thing. So we're going to have to fix this later with our keyframes. And it got even smaller that time. All right, so we're definitely going to have to fix that. That picture might actually end up being pixelated. This one's fine. We have some lag going on right now. We won't see. So that picture's okay, but there's just some lag. Okay. And now what we're going to do is, just to be sure, we're going to file and we're going to save. And we always save just to make sure that we don't have any problems with our projects. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is transitions. And this is a very easy thing to do. So I'm just going to take a minute to do it, and you will spend, you'll spend some time working on this, doing transitions in between your pictures at this point. Now, this picture right here, can you see it has an effect applied to it? It's probably the small horse one, which is what I'm thinking. Okay. And I'm going over here to scale, and I'm seeing that there's some kind of an effect added to it. And so we'll fix that later, but I wanted to make you aware that there's an icon here that says effect. All right. So that's something that we're going to want to fix at some point. But now let's talk about transitions. And I've talked about transitions before in the previous video, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again. Now, a transition is basically, there's different types of transitions. That's basically how one clip arrives at the next clip. It transitions from one clip to the other. The first is a cut, which is instantaneous transition. All right. The second is a cross dissolve, and the third is a wipe. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to do some cross dissolves. So in order to do the cross dissolves, we're going to go right here to this area. We're going to click on this, and we're going to click on effects. And we're going to see an effects window appear here. We got presets, which are most commonly used effects. These are effects. Lumetri, it has to do with color. Audio effects, which is something to do with our audio, which we're not worried about yet. Audio transitions, and this is video effects and video transitions. So right now what we want to do is do video effects. Now, anything that's a 3D motion or any kind of peel or anything like that, that's usually something called like a wipe effect. In our case, we want to use dissolves. And we're going to use something called the cross dissolve, the most commonly used of all the dissolves. We don't want to cross dissolve to open our project, because our project starts with black and then goes into our opening title. But we want to cross dissolve from our black, if you will, from our title to our first clip, because it just cuts in. So we want it to have a nice fade in, a cross dissolve. Pretty easy to do. You just grab it here and you drag it right between your clip. Now, you can put your cross dissolve at the end of one clip. So basically one clip fades out, but then the other one's going to cut in. You can do it the other way, where one clip cuts or fades or quickly goes to black and the other one fades up, or you can make them cross dissolve. For this one, I could do it like this, but I'm just going to cross dissolve from there to there. And you're going to see like a little orange thing appear there. And you're going to do cross dissolves from each one of your transitions. Okay. Now, you want to do cross dissolve and you can see how the cross dissolve is gradual. If you want to get creative, you can use a different transition. Let's say you want to go to a page peel or a slide or a wipe. So a page peel, again, we're dragging it in between the clips. And a page peel sometimes will open up another window for you to change the effects of the page peel. So you can see how the page peel is basically like that. If I double clicked here, now I can add some effects to the page peel. So you see how that works. All right, page peel from one to the other. But I'm going to go ahead and cancel, and I'm not going to use that. Okay. So again, that's effects, and see, these are all different effects that you can use, or transitions. These are transitions, not effects. So finally, our very last clip, and you use this right here to, you know, shrink, and you can, this helps you move around in your timeline a lot easier. We're going to go to our very last clip. Again, we're going to zoom in, and when you zoom in, wherever your cursor is going to be exactly at the center of your zoom. We're going to want to make sure we fade out. And again, a fade out is just another cross dissolve. Additive dissolve adds white. Cross dissolve basically just dissolves from one to the other. And in this case, we're cross dissolving to black. We can cross dissolve. So you can see that it's basically taking the entire clip and fading to black. And that's how that works. All right. So why don't you go ahead and take some time now, and I'll finish this video here. I want you to take some time to, number one, create your project. Number two, import your title. Number three, create a bin to put your into which you're going to put your pictures. Import your pictures into the bin. All right. And once you've imported your pictures, put your pictures on the timeline. Once you put your pictures on the timeline, make sure you scale them up the way I showed you. And finally, put transitions in between your pictures, all right? Because it's going to have transitions. And then our next video, I'm going to show you how to add some motion effects, side to side, zoom in, zoom out, or a combination. And you're going to have to add that motion effect to 4 of these clips. All right. So that should get you going. That should get you started for now. And as always, you know, if you have questions, I'm always here to help.